Alright, looking at some mushroom foraging today and found some bolete mushrooms. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but they look like they've gone a little past their prime. This one looks okay, but one way to identify this is it's spongy underneath. And so it's a real sort of spongy material, and so that's an easy identifier for this mushroom. There's no skirt around here. A lot of the poisonous mushrooms will have a little skirt right there, but there's a lot to know, and for a lot of the edible mushrooms there's also deadly lookalikes. So there's a couple that are easy to start with because they don't have a lot of deadly lookalikes. So here's one. Hopefully we'll find another. Alright, this has gills and it's white. I'm guessing that's poisonous. Often the white ones are. But let's keep going. I'm looking for a lobster mushroom. Alright, so here's a lobster mushroom. And it's an interesting mushroom. Easy to identify. There's not a poisonous imitator that I'm aware of, but with this mushroom, let me get it out of the ground here. It's kind of a big one there. Easy to identify, lobster mushroom, edible, and there's a lot to know if you aren't sure. One method is to take a little bit and rub it on your skin. See if you have a reaction. This is if you were lost in the woods and you really needed something to eat. Then you could rub some on your lips, see if you have a reaction. You could chew some, spit it out, see what happens, and you just slowly progress like that until you consume small amounts of it at a time. Yeah, there's a lot to know about mycology, and I'm kind of just getting started in this, but there's the two mushrooms I'm looking for. The lobster mushroom being the main one. Here's another one. So I don't damage the mushroom. I feel underneath to see if there's gills, and no gills. It's that spongy material. So I believe that's a bolete mushroom, if I'm pronouncing it right. So there you go. Let's keep looking. All right, I cleaned this guy up. I thought I should mention real quick how to prepare the mushrooms. Don't be afraid to scrub that lobster mushroom and some of the orange skin kind of scrubbed off. And that orange skin has been used as dye in the past. That's kind of interesting. And so yeah, don't be afraid to scrub it. And then chop it up and use it like any other mushroom. They absorb flavor, so they're good in, soups and things like that. Sort of a lobstery flavor. People usually have them with lobster. But a real neat organism. It's actually two organisms. It was parasitized by another organism to actually create this color and shape. So interesting. But yeah, scrub it, eat it, research it first, and have fun. Alright, we went back out for some more lobster mushrooms, and I know it's kind of a seasonal thing, but man, look at all this food. I wouldn't starve in the woods today. I like them that kind of look like that color, and more about this size, about that size. And when you pick them out of the ground, it's kind of neat. There's usually a whole variety of bugs all living underneath there, and it makes a little divot in the dirt. And then what I like to do is when I come across one, maybe one that's kind of a big ugly one, I'll break off pieces and put it in all the holes and basically inoculate the area that most likely has a lot of the spores from, I forget the name, but there's probably a lot of spores of this mushroom, and so I spread around the parasite so that we can get lobster mushrooms, and try to keep track of where that is. But the main thing being, I'm trying to ensure that there's a whole nother crop of these lobster mushrooms the next year. So that's something I wanted to mention, and show you guys some more lobster mushrooms. Here's some of these guys before they have been affected by the parasite. Pretty much white. Cover these guys back up. Here's some more of these not affected by the parasite yet. And after we cut up all the other mushrooms, lobster mushrooms at home, I put all the little bits in a drainage so that they can be washed down and spread the parasite and the spores. And I bet you there's a lot of spores from these around in this area. So one thing I might do is, if I get some more lobster mushrooms, put some little pieces around these mushrooms I'm finding that haven't been affected by the parasite, so that then next year hopefully we'll have a bunch in this spot. Now here's what I think is a chanterelle, and I'm going to have to do some more research. But if you're just getting started harvesting mushrooms, I'd recommend starting with the lobster mushrooms, maybe the bullets, and people seem to also get the oyster mushrooms, button mushrooms, the chanterelles. There's a few different types of these and some lookalikes, so I'm going to research this. But those would be the ones to get started with. And yeah, good luck hunting mushrooms. Alright, so this mushroom that I thought was one of those chanterelles, it wasn't white in the middle, inside of this. So I'm thinking, since it's not white, that is probably the jack-o'-lantern, which is poisonous lookalike. So yeah, it takes a lot of research to not kill yourself. And here's the mushrooms that we're drying in our flats for our drying rack. And slicing them like this and drying them is a really good way to preserve them. And you want to get the white, nice white meat. And when you clean them, it's easy if you use a knife, because then you can sort of scratch off anything that's not that harder, nice white meat. But there you go. After they're nice and dry, we're going to put them in some jars, and you definitely want them to be totally dry when you put them in your jars. But there you go. There's our lobster mushroom harvest. I was out hunting today, and I snagged these on my way home. This guy here, this is a slippery jack, and you can tell it's got the spongy bottom there, and it's a type of bullet mushroom, or billet, however you pronounce it. But there's another type of this, the aspen bullet mushroom, and that's what I'm looking for, and they're eluding me. But a couple more nice lobster mushrooms, and I cut off the mycelium on the bottom and leave it out in the field, so hopefully there'll be more of those. And this one here is, I believe, is an Amanita Caesar, and it's edible and highly sought after. If you look, it's got this sort of a shaggy, hairy stalk and a full veil, and I haven't been doing this that long, so I'm not certain, so I don't know that I'm going to eat that one. Maybe I'll find someone who's a little more educated in this, and they would most likely want it. But there's some mushrooms that I found, and a couple more things about harvesting your own mushrooms.